You're listening to London Greek Radio, and this programme has previously been broadcast, providing you with the opportunity to listen again to a show which you may have missed on LGR.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have a brand new show for you here. This is the pilot show. It's called All About Autism, and we intend to be here every first Thursday of the month, talking about autism, the London Autism Charity, founded by Dr. Chris Papadopoulos and James Gordon. Now, did you notice that more and more children have autism these days? New figures find that 1 in 21 children are now thought to be autistic, and 1 in 14 are boys and 1 in 41 are girls. Let that sink in. 1 in 21 children. To put this into context, in the 80s the figures were about 1 in 10,000, and in 40 years diagnosis has gone up extremely rapidly, and research is still trying to find out why. These figures are from Northern Ireland, who update and publish their figures every year. The National Autistic Society only publishes every 7 years, which is why they still say it's 1 in 100, and doesn't include the under 18s, which means they have a 25-year time lag. I'm Helen Mikellides. Today I'll be talking to Sophia and Ellie, who are both members of the London Autism Group charity. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
If you're an autistic person, child or adult, or have an autistic relative, or even if you don't, we'd love to hear from you, either during the show or after the show. Tell us what you think. Let us know your ideas. On text or WhatsApp, LGR 0737 661 1033, 0737 661 1033, or email us at studio@lgr.co.uk with any questions you have. This is about the London Autism Charity. I'm about to read a statement from the London Autism Charity. The London Autism Group charity was launched in 2017. Its mission is to promote the social acceptance and inclusion of autistic people and their families, to promote their health and well-being, and to reduce the appalling stigma and discrimination that so many people in the autistic and wider autism community so regularly experience. Although the charity is still relatively small in size with a small budget, over the past 3 years in particular, it has seen a big surge in popularity and demand for its services, which are wide-ranging and include to provide support to autistic people with mental health problems, a befriending service, which we'll talk about later, that aims to reduce the loneliness and social isolation, and a community cafe and drop-in support initiative for people to support each other in a friendly, inclusive space. The charity now has a Greek and Greek Cypriot section to it, aiming to help the Greek community understand more about autism and to promote the social inclusion and acceptance of Greek autistics. To help the charity to continue to do the important work that it does, any donations or fundraising on the charity's behalf would be hugely appreciated. You can find out how to donate, as well as learning more about the charity, by visiting the website londonautismgroupcharity.org. That's londonautismgroupcharity.org. So in the studio tonight we have Sophia and Ellie. They're both volunteers at the London Autism Charity. We're going to be talking to them tonight. Sophia is a 26-year-old autistic female. We have to be politically correct on this station. She is actually doing a PhD in autism research, and she was diagnosed quite late. Was it 16?
16, yes.
Okay, that's quite a late diagnosis, so it must have been very, very difficult for you up to that point. Can you tell us more about the charity and what the aims of the charity are at the moment?
The charity aims to achieve social acceptance and inclusion of autistic people, as well as their families and carers, to reduce stigma and discrimination and boost the health and well-being of the community. The London Autism Group charity offers a variety of services, including commissioning autistic-led mental health support and other autistic experts to support autistic people.
Okay, so that's great. So there are many people out there who have autistic children, and are having problems at school with education, trying to get their children the right help within the schools, primary and secondary. Would they help with this?
Yep, the charity provides expert advice and guidance for any queries that might come through to us via the website or email.
Okay, and that email is, the website is londonautismgroupcharity.org, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about the community cafe as well. I'm really excited to hear about this one.
So the charity runs a community cafe that's held on the second Sunday of every month at St Andrew's Church in Southgate. It's a space where autistic people and the wider community can drop in, have a drink and some biscuits, and connect with other people going through the same experiences.
Okay, so you've got people from all walks of life, from every community.
Yeah.
Does this go on outside London as well, or is it mainly London-based?
It's mainly London-based, and we are hoping to launch a Greek-specific community cafe later in the year.
That's fantastic. That's really, really fantastic. When you find a venue, right? We were talking earlier.
Yes.
No, I really look forward to that. I have an autistic child myself. He's 12 years old. His name's Serge. Hi, Serge. He'll be listening right now. So tell me about the befriending scheme, your befriending scheme from the charity for people with autism.
The charity runs a befriending scheme which pairs one of the charity's volunteers with an autistic person to offer the chance to develop a friendship, increase confidence, and to reduce anxiety and feelings of loneliness.
Yeah, because I can imagine they have, with the social, the socialising issues that they have, they will probably need somebody one-to-one to help them, give them confidence to go out. And I've just spoken to Chris about this, who has founded the charity with James Gordon. I've just spoken to him about it, and it's a bespoke befriending scheme. So as much as the person requires, as in if they need to go shopping or they need to go out, or whether they want to be at home, befriended at home, or just need somebody to talk to on Zoom, really. So tell us about the advice that's available for autistics and parents.
So the charity has a range of experts that can offer guidance and advice on all different topics.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and they can find that on the website?
Yep, that can get there through the website.
Okay, so we can remind you on the website, londonautismgroupcharity.org. So, Ellie, yes, over to you.
Firstly, I just wanted to say thanks for holding this space to enable us to have these really important conversations about autism and neurodiversity in our community. I think that's important to put that out there. And
thanks to LGR.
Thank you to LGR, absolutely. So podcasts. So the London Autism Group produce the Autism Podcast. It's the most listened to autism-related podcast in the UK. And
really?
It's an excellent way to boost understanding and knowledge. Go on the website and find out information about that. Yeah,
I went to the website yesterday and played one of the podcasts. I tried Alexa the other day, and Alexa's absolutely not giving me anything. So we went to the...
Please visit. Really great information.
Okay, great. I'm halfway through one of those, and it's really informative.
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
Really. You actually got something out of it, didn't you?
Yeah, always.
Yeah. Okay. So also tell us about this is an interesting one, because this always gets overlooked.
Yes.
The siblings.
Absolutely. So a monthly sibling support group is important. They're an important people that are often overlooked by services. They are siblings of autistic people, and they themselves may be a carer and who are also autistic. It's an important space to come together and provide much needed support for each other.
So do they meet, or do they...
Yeah, meet up, put together space with non-judgment, sharing experiences. It's so important to share and not to be isolated with your issues.
Absolutely. And is this one actually just for siblings, or is that including parents?
Yes, no, just for siblings.
Okay, that's great. So tell us also about Solace.
So Solace, Stigma of living as an autism carer.
Okay.
So this group is specifically for parent carers of recently diagnosed autistic children.
Mm-hmm.
Here you can get help, support with understanding autism and neurodiversity. Also an important space which enables local parent carers to connect with each other, and that's so important to come together. Again, not to feel isolated, share experiences, be transparent, and really come together and share. Is so important.
I actually agree with that, because when my son was diagnosed, I didn't feel like there was anyone I could relate to. I mean, this is going back a few years. He was 3 years old, so we're going back 9 years. and there was, the charity hadn't been formed yet, so I wasn't aware of anything. There wasn't really much available at that time. So this is, and also with the stigma, we'll talk about the stigma later, of being a parent of an autistic person or an autistic person.
Yeah, it's helped me, it's helped our family as a unit as well. So it's just a place where you can just offload.
Fantastic. So, and tell us about the sponsoring.
So the London Autism Group sponsor young autistic people to help enable them to achieve their hopes and ambitions. So more information on the website on that.
Wonderful. And that's londonautismgroupcharity.org. Again, if you want to text or WhatsApp us with any questions, we'll try to answer your questions. If you don't want to go to the website today, 0737 661 1033, or that's text or WhatsApp, or email the studio@lgr.co.uk. We'll be back after this. Sophia, tell me about your experience in the world of autism, when you were diagnosed, before you were diagnosed, and the challenges that you've faced.
So I was diagnosed when I was 16. A lot of people think that's quite a late diagnosis, and I think there's a few reasons why it took so long for me to be diagnosed.
What were they?
One of them is awareness of autism in the 90s wasn't as good as it's starting to be now.
Yes.
I also met all my developmental milestones. I enjoyed reading and computers and didn't really struggle academically at school. So
you were ahead, weren't you?
I wasn't really picked up as having any difficulties.
Okay, and with girls, they usually mask a lot better than boys. That's why it's usually diagnosed in girls later on than boys, because they can mask it a lot better.
Yeah, so I was aware from quite a young age that I felt different to other people. But I think most of my traits and things were put down to personality characteristics. So I was told that I was quiet and shy and introverted, or very mature for my age. And I just tried hard to hide how anxious things made me.
Okay, so when you were out in a social situation, how did you feel when you came away from your social situation, when you went home?
I felt much more relaxed at home. I struggled with crowds and busy places.
Okay. Do you feel with that with autism, with the sensory issues that some autistic people face, with loud noises? My son hates loud noises, even though he's the loudest person in the room. He can't hear how loud he is, but he doesn't like crowds either. He doesn't like going out. Mm-hmm. He doesn't like going out the house because he has to put on a mask, and he gets like a masking. When we talk about this another time, but this is another subject. But he gets masking burnout. So he's most comfortable at home because he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to put on a show. He doesn't have to pretend to be, normal.
Yeah.
Can we use that word? Or neurotypical?
Well, I guess at home in your safe space, it's easier for you to be yourself. I think people underestimate how hard it is to manage those sensory experiences when you're in a busy place and trying to appear as if you're not struggling with the environment because you think that other people might not understand why it's too loud or too bright or too busy.
Yep. So with the sensory issues, you have basically learned to be a good actress, I suppose.
Just manage it whilst you're in the situation and then try to decompress afterwards.
Yep. And this is why the best actors are autistic. Anthony Hopkins was what age was he diagnosed?
60 or
70?
70.
Yeah, he was 70 when he was diagnosed with autism, and he's probably one of the best actors we've got, isn't it? So tell us why you feel it's important to start the branch of the Greek autism, for us to address the Greek community with regards to autism education.
Yeah, we'd like to help the Greek community understand more about autism and to promote the social inclusion and acceptance of Greek autistic people. It doesn't seem to be something that we talk about much within our community. And this is the first big Greek-specific autism acceptance drive. So along with setting up our Greek community cafe and this radio show, we're hoping to produce some online toolkits and resources for the Greek community as well to help the community understand autism.
Well, I'm sure we will. I'm looking forward to that. So how about you, Ellie?
So just wanted to say that if I'm talking about my son, I have his permission. I asked him and he said, yes, Mum, I want everyone to know about autism. So he was diagnosed at 4. And so before that, we had some idea that something wasn't right. And going to nursery, it really became apparent that there was some challenges that he faced. And they put forward for him to see a paediatrician that took about 18 months, so quite a long wait.
That is a long wait.
Yes, but the nursery was amazing and they managed him, and we had lots of communication between home and nursery. So when he was diagnosed, it did feel isolating, as you say. It felt like I was on my own with it and I didn't know where to go with information, and I did a lot of my own information, and it was difficult to speak about it.
It was, yeah. I know, I was in the same boat. But luckily my son went to... I haven't got my son's permission. I think I'm going to get berated when I get home. But yeah, we had a fantastic nursery and they picked it up. They brought the Senko in. I didn't even know what a Senko was. Yeah. We went to a lady, a doctor in an Edgware General, and she diagnosed him with we're not allowed to use the terms HF autism. But she diagnosed him with autism, and I just thought she was joking. I just thought because he was speaking 2 languages, he was late. He was a late speaker, and I didn't actually believe it at first. And I think the first instinct is actually denial when you hear something like that. When somebody tells you that your child that you've known so well is autistic, you haven't got a clue. Absolutely, and it's really difficult to take it on board because it's something new, something that you're not really sure of, but always trust your gut feeling. If there's something wrong, talk to a professional, talk it through, try and get as much information as you can from it to help support yourself and your child. Yep, absolutely. Person. Yep. So everybody out there who's going through this, you are absolutely not alone. No. The charity is here to support you, londonautismgroupcharity.org, or text us, WhatsApp the LGR studio, or email us studio@lgr.co.uk. We'd love to hear your experiences. We'd love to hear anything that you have to say on this subject, whether you're an autism carer, child, adult, or not. If you want to show some interest, we are here to pick up your messages. And if you'd like to email us tomorrow or during the week, we can pick up your comments and come back in the next show next month and discuss what you've said, basically. So I have a question for Sophia. Sophia, can you tell us what autism and neurodiversity are?
Autism is a neurological difference, and that just means that an autistic person's brain works differently to someone that's not autistic.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Autism affects how we perceive, process and understand the world around us. And although many autistic people share similar characteristics, it's important to remember that no 2 autistic people are the same.
That's right. That's right. I know that.
Neurodiversity is the term that we use to describe differences in the ways people's brains work. So there's no right way for the brain to work. Everyone has their own individual strengths and challenges, and we should embrace different ways of thinking. It is okay to think differently.
Okay, and it's a superpower, right? It can be.
It can be. Well, my son's got a photographic memory.
Has he?
Yes, he has.
He's going to do all right in his GCSEs.
Let's hope so. So he memorises bus routes and tube stations and tube lines and anything that's his interest. So his interest at the moment is James Bond. So he can name all the actors, when they were filmed, where they were filmed. And
And he's 9 years old?
8.
Oh, he's 8. Wow.
Yeah.
So, this is very interesting that, the autistic brain, it always fascinates me. Yep. My son's extremely clever. He doesn't miss a trick. He can listen to 2 conversations at the same time. He can remember everything that was said years later. Yeah. And he can just retrieve anything at all. It's literally like a hyper focus.
Yeah.
that we don't have. We forget, and they remember. They tend to remember everything. We have. I actually have a friend who going back to the the challenges that we talked about before. I have a friend who sent her son to secondary school. He had a very late diagnosis, so he hasn't got the EHCP, which is the help from the council, financial help to aid the schools in helping them.
Education healthcare plan.
That's right,
Yeah.
the education healthcare plan. He doesn't have one of those, so he's gone to secondary school now. But he was fine at primary school because they went into their funds and they were fine. But at secondary school, he's completely lost. I mean, he's going to all the wrong lessons. He was supposed to be doing woodwork, and he was coming home, with something that he'd cooked because he'd gone to the wrong lessons, But he's doing okay. But it's very, very difficult when you don't get the help at school. But I digress. We were talking about neurodiversity. So going back to that. So what would you say are the other pluses?
There's so many different strengths. I mean, each individual, as Sophia just outlined, that it can present in lots of different forms. It could be mathematics, it could be art, it could be anything actually, or just being able to do anything, really.
I went to the autism show. They've got an autism show in London every year, the EXL. And I went a couple of years ago, and there was this little case, and this guy was an artist, and he was drawing through the eye of a needle. So you couldn't actually see the pictures. You had to look at it through a microscope, and you could actually draw the details through the eye of a needle. He was using the thread at the end of the thread to actually paint. So I mean, it is absolutely incredible. And some of these people have got real talents. I mean, look at Elon Musk. He's the richest man in the world. He's autistic. So it's not always challenging, but so that's all we're going to say on neurodiversity, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I just wanted to ask a very important question to Sophia. What do you think it would have been like if you'd got an earlier diagnosis at school?
I think if I was diagnosed sooner, I would have had less anxiety surrounding school. So I refused to go to school most days. I didn't have much support with transition, so from primary school to secondary school, because nobody knew I was autistic. I didn't know that I'm autistic.
You didn't know either. That must have been really hard.
Yeah, difficult to explain to people that you find things hard without knowing why you find things so difficult.
And you went to a new school in a new building.
Yeah.
With new people.
So from a tiny little primary school with one class per year to a big secondary school with lots of new teachers. And although I enjoyed the sort of structure that school gives, the timetables, the uniform, I was probably the only student that loved wearing a uniform because it was the same every day. There were lots of things about school that I found hard. So the sensory environment, secondary school is big and loud. There's also a lot of unexpected changes, because you have different teachers.
Different
classrooms. So my relationship with school was a bit mixed. And I think maybe being diagnosed sooner might have just eased some of that anxiety.
Most definitely. I sent my son to secondary school, and this is the way the London Autism Charity actually helped me. I got in touch with Chris, and I told him, this is the story. My son was fine at primary school. He went to a lovely little primary school in Muswell Hill, Our Lady of Muswell. Big shout out to them, because they really took good care of him. And I'm not going to mention the school that he went to, secondary, but they claimed to have the best special educational needs department in the borough. And when he went there, it was an academy, and it wasn't the case. They gave him the least amount of help that was needed. I went in on the third day and said to the head teacher, he needs help. Why are you not helping him with his transition? He was bullied on the first day. He just went through a lot. He went through a hell of a lot, and he got sick as well. So we took him out of school, and I got in touch with Chris, and I told Chris all about it. And the charity actually helped me with advice. The charity actually paid for someone called Bobby to give me advice on what to do next with his educational healthcare plan. She recommended an advocate whom I'm using now, and she's really, really helping the borough to change his educational healthcare plan, because his needs have completely changed. since it hasn't been updated since he was 8 years old. So his needs have completely changed, and he's going to a temporary school now. But we're going to sort this out, and he's going to end up in the right environment for him.
It's so important to get the right environment. I think it's, as we say, early intervention is key. And as parents out there, we fight all the time.
Non-stop.
For support, the right support, for the help. It's non-stop, but you have to do it. And don't take no for an answer, and get the support that you need. And the London Autism Group is a fantastic way to get the support and ask questions, and also facilitate the meetings and the support of the parents, other parent carers. The way that you connect is so empowering.
Absolutely, it's a wonderful, wonderful charity. So if you are willing to make donations for the London Autism Group charity, we welcome them. We're going to do events in the future, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we've had a couple of texts from the public. We've had one that says, "Oh my, how beautiful your new show is. An important support for all families who have a person with autism, but also those unfamiliar with this topic. Well done, LGR."
Thanks for that.
Yes, thank you.
Much needed.
Thank you. We really, really appreciate
that,
the support. Really, really nice. And we've had another one. Finally, an interesting transmission that talks about a topic that affects many families, often unaware because they don't know the various aspects of autism. Congratulations, keep it up. We love that.
Yes,
thank you so much to those who sent those in. So, we're here to talk about the London Autism Group charity. We welcome any questions that you have for our next show. We're really, really interested to know if what you've come across, any problems, any issues, anything that we happen to have missed out tonight, because obviously we can't really cover everything, can we, in 1 hour, in between songs. But we really, really appreciate you listening. Please carry on sending the texts in and the WhatsApps on 0737 661 1033, or email us at studio@lgr.co.uk. We're really, really happy to hear from you, and we're really, really happy to do this show. Thank you, LGR, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia, for coming, and Ellie.
Thank you.
Really, really, really proud to have you on the show. And we look forward to see you, and we will see you next month, or hear from you next month.
Yes, see you next month.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're listening to London Greek Radio, and the programme you just heard had previously been broadcast, providing you with the opportunity to listen again to a show which you may have missed on LGR.